Well, welcome back to the Raiders roster report, everybody. This is Raider Sparks. Today is April the 21st, and we're getting close to draft day. We're about a week away from the draft, and we're getting close to seeing the fate of the Raiders for the 2021 season. Obviously, this is a hugely important draft, and we've spent a lot of time, and a lot of other people spend a lot of time kind of going over it and having some fun with it, seeing what we can do with this roster. And I think overall, we could have a lot of fun. This draft could really set us up for some big success. And so I'm super excited about it. I know Raider Nation, I believe, is also really excited about it, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. But anyways, tonight I wanted to talk about outside linebacker versus the edge position and kind of give an update on where we're at with our current roster with that spot, and then also how I believe we should go about targeting it during the draft, and maybe some things to look for as you're putting your mock drafts together. But since we've been doing this, let's see here. I've put together videos now on in-depth about the safeties. So if you haven't checked that out, please go take a look at the safeties video I did. Also took a look at the interior defensive linemen and kind of how our current roster is looking and how the draft is kind of shaping up. I would note that I got some feedback on the USC boys, Marlon and Tualele. I believe that's how you say his name. I like both of those players when I was doing the draft. I really wasn't focused on three techniques that we'd have to draft early, just interior defensive linemen that could do 3-and-1 techniques or just the one techniques until I got to around the fourth round. Then I started adding in more three techniques just because we're so deep at the position already. And Tuafele is definitely a three technique. Marlon, he can do both. I just didn't see the ability to sort of two gap and the strength to two gap, or the pass rush that might be needed. So either you have to be able to, in my opinion, the 1 or the 0 technique that we'll use. It's really a two gap situation. You got to be able to take a double team and handle the run, or you have to be a really good pass rusher to be able to come in against the center and beat the center on a pass rush. I'm not sure Marlon's the guy for that. I mean, in the second round, Aleem McNeil, I have him over in the second round, and Tommy Tuaji. He's more of a three technique, but he did play a lot of one technique, and he'd be more of a pass rushing one technique in the second round. And I believe Marlon will probably go in the second or high third. So I that's the only reason I excluded him. I think he's a fine player, and if we got him, I wouldn't be disappointed. But that's just kind of where it's at with that. I just wanted to share that with you all, that I did recognize those guys. I just didn't include them on my particular list because of kind of how I saw the draft shaping out and how I saw our current roster. But I also did a video on interior offensive linemen and tackles, or offensive tackles that the Raiders could target based on what Tom Cable seems to like. I did a video on potential backups for Cleveland Farrell at the 4 technique position, and I did a video about cornerbacks, and obviously we had some new or updated cornerback news here in the last couple of days. Rasho Douglas has joined the team, and I'm excited. He definitely fits the model of a cover 3 or Gus Bradley outside cornerback. Long, tall. He's played in the system for 4 years, similar system for 4 years. So I'm really looking forward to that. Just wanted to kind of share with you why I'm kind of going over edge versus outside linebacker. I did want to note another player that I noticed. So it came up, I think, on PFF, but I had seen him and I just didn't mention him. A guy from Texas Tech, a cornerback, Zach Mcpherson. Maybe somebody to keep an eye on. Not sure if he's going to get drafted, but his numbers are kind of off the charts here as a cornerback, a slot cornerback at that. So something to keep an eye on. A 4.03 short shuttle. That's the best, I think, in the class. So he's one of the top defensive players. So somebody to keep an eye on as a possibility. But we'll go over, before the draft, we'll kind of go over some more sleepers and some more guys that might emerge, and we'll kind of really dive into it, narrow down how to put the draft together. But anyways, the reason why I'm going over outside linebacker versus edge defenders, because the way I see the roster shaping out, I mean, I believe we'll have 25 roster spots to the defense, and if we go to the 55-man roster, we'd probably have 26 players. But the way I see him doing is 6 cornerbacks, 5 safeties, 9 defensive linemen, and 5 linebackers to make up the 25. And right now, I definitely see 4 strong quarterbacks for sure. Arnett, Isaiah Johnson, Trayvon, and Rasho Douglas making the squad. I also think Amik will make the squad. Nevin Lawson, we only have $250K of dead money for him, so I mean, I don't see the reason why we keep him around unless Amik, unless Gus just doesn't like Amik Robertson. Then I could see us moving on from that. But then Keeson as well, I just don't see us keeping him. And honestly, his testing numbers with the combine, I never really realized or really wouldn't look at them, but they were not that strong, especially the short area quickness, the short shuttle, and the 3-cone drill, that type of thing. Not the best. And Amik, I didn't even know what his was, but I'm not sure if he's the guy or not, but I believe they're going to give him a shot. So that really leaves us with a slot opening. That's assuming that Damon Arnett plays the outside. Damon Arnett may kick inside, in which case we'll need another outside cornerback. But I believe in the draft we're going to get somebody that's versatile. So we'll get somebody that can play slot and outside. Somebody like Trion Williams or Marco Wilson are my two lead dogs right now for us to draft. But anyways, that would give us the 6 there. But the reason I focus on edge versus outside linebackers is because we don't have somebody on the roster currently right now to take that position. The Sam linebacker is hugely important, and we use our Sam linebacker as a defensive edge to rush the passer, but also be able to drop back into zone coverage. So we don't have that stand-up outside linebacker to rush the passer, somebody that can rush from that 2-point stance. We don't really have that guy on the team right now. And so that's the area right now that I see as an opening. In fact, in one of my videos that I did, I mentioned that as a possibility, to get Azeez Ojulari as our first pick, because that's a position of need, I believe, for us, and it's a position we don't currently have on our roster. So that's sort of one of those things where I believe we need to address it in the draft, because I just don't see it on the roster, and it's a really important position for us. So anyways, I encourage you guys to go check out some videos I did. I did videos on Max Crosby, if he was a Leo or not, if he was a Leo defender. I did videos kind of talking about possibilities to draft at 17 pick, second round possibilities. And the reason I mention that is because some of the guys that I've talked about on those videos specifically are the same guys that I'll talk about tonight. And so as the Raiders make their way to the draft, I believe we need somebody that can stand up and rush the edge and be able to drop back, which would be a possible outside linebacker, or we need a linebacker. And ideally, the way I looked at this is there's a lot of linebackers. What I would like the Raiders to draft is a linebacker that can not only play the linebacker position, all the linebacker positions, be able to play the same position and be an effective in coverage, but also be able to have the pass rush ability and rush the passer. To be able to do all those things, somebody we could build on, somebody that we could see as a long-term a linebacker, even play the middle linebacker role. And so as I kind of went through it, I tried to make it realistic based on where we're drafting at. And so let's just take a look at some of the guys that I feel would be strong candidates for the position. First, let's take a look at the outside linebackers. And I really, really like Azeez Ojulari. 6'2", 249, 34-inch arms, 82-inch wingspan, 4'6", 40, 7'2", 7'3" cone, 30-inch vert, 10'7" broad jump, and 28 bench presses. He checks all of the boxes. 1.610 split, so it means he has a very fast first step. One of the reasons I like him so much, and I'm not saying at 17 necessarily, unless a lot of other guys were gone before him, but But I think that if we trade it back, which is my ideal scenario for the Raiders, somewhere in that 21 to 25 range, pick up an extra second pick, so we get our first round pick in the 21 to 25 kind of range, and then get 2 second round picks, if that would be possible, and I think it is. Then Ojai would be a huge success. One of the reasons I like him so much at that pick is because he's 1A or 1B edge rusher in the class. He's, to me, the top, but a lot of people have Jalen Phillips. But Ojai is a fantastic edge rusher. He can drop in coverage, exactly what we need. He can rush from a 2-point stance or a 3-point stance. He can handle the running game. He can rush from a wide 9 if you want to bring him out further. And he has Leo traits. So his comp, actually, I read one of his comps was Yannick. So he could be Yannick's replacement in a couple of years to take that Leo position. So it would really set our team up and our roster up for a lot of success. And his draft, what I just mentioned, kind of around a 21 to 25 range, seems to be about right. PFM has him at 17. PFF has him at 30, and Draft Network 21. So I predict he goes around that 21 to 25 range. It would be a terrific player for us to get. The next guy that we would take a look at, let's see here, would be Joseph Osai. Now, Osai, to me, is more of a project. Real high motor, 6'3" and 3/4, 256, 33 and 7/8 arms, 4'6", 340, 41.5 vert, 10-11 broad jump. So athletically, I mean, this guy is fantastic. He fits the mold. Let's see here. Draft Network has him around 55, PFF 60, and PFN actually has him at 27 in the first round. So, I think he's going to be around that 45, 50 mark. He benched 19, so he's young. He's only 21, like Ojai. They're both young players. He's got a lot to learn. He's slow off the ball, off the snap, something he has to work on. But the motor's there. The willingness is there. The pass rush, you can see the athleticism. Just needs to work on the game some. But I think in time he's going to be a terrific player. Has the Leo traits as well. So he's somebody that, in time could take over that spot as well. And has everything we would be looking for to be a second-round pick for us. So it kind of fits into where we're drafting at. So definitely a possibility here at that outside position. Didn't show great film and coverage because they did try him as an outside linebacker before they moved at Texas, before they moved him to edge. But I think the athletic ability, the traits are there. I just think it's a matter of just a little bit of getting coached up a little bit. And then I was going to touch on Jordan Smith out of UAB. When I watched this film, I saw some stuff I really liked. Then his pro day was just not good. His times, his athleticism just didn't match what I had expected. And I think he can be an effective, pass rusher in the league, but I don't look for him to be able to drop in coverage. I certainly don't look for him to be able to take over the Leo position at one point just because of the athleticism. So as I was going to talk about him, I guess I decided not to. And I apologize now. I did not put Joseph Osai's picture on here, so we'll get him next time. Okay. So the next guy I have is Joe Trion. I think Joe Trion is going to be a terrific pro. He's got a lot of pass rush moves, plays with a high motor, 6'5", 259 with 34-inch arms. So he's got the physical gifts, 4'6", 440, 7'18", 3-cone, 4'36" short shuttle, 35 vert, 9'8" broad jump, and the 22 bench presses. So he didn't play last year, so we didn't get the tape last year. But 2019, he went up against Sewell in Oregon. He had some great tape against him. But one thing I really noticed, really liked about it, shows his athleticism, was the way he dropped in coverage. He had a real good feel for it, dropping in his own coverage. Really understand the concepts. Would drop back, pick up a guy when he came in his zone, let a guy go properly when the guy was leaving his zone. Really had a good knack for it. Interesting here, the Draft Network has him going at 27, so as a first rounder. The other sites have him more in that 68 to 75 range, and I think he's more of a round 2 or a real early third round pick. I think is where he's going to fall, but he definitely has the tendencies for for Leo as well down in the future. So it's not just getting a Sam linebacker or outside linebacker or a partial down backer. The three guys I just mentioned are every down backers or every down players that can affect the game in multiple ways, which is what we need. We need a guy that can stand on the edge, press the edge, bend the edge, get to the quarterback, have that ability to drop into coverage, and then have the long-term vision of possibly being a Leo and taking over for Yannick if we decide to move on after 2 years from him. So these three players would be fantastic, I believe, for the Raiders. The next guy I wanted to take a look at, and a little bit of a wild card here, is Chris Ruff, one of my favorite players in the draft out of Duke. 6'3", 244, 33 and a quarter inch arms, 9.38 hands, 80 wingspan. He didn't do the rest of the drills, which is concerning to me. However, the tape is unbelievable. He is so disruptive in the Duke defense that I would love to see him. I'm not projecting him to be a Leo for us, but what I am projecting him to do would be something like Melvin Ingram would do, is stand up linebacker on the edge, be able to get to the quarterback, but also drop, and not so much in coverage, which I believe he could do. There's not film on it, but his dad is a college linebacker coach, so I guarantee this guy eats, breathes, sleeps football, and I guarantee he knows how to cover. I have no doubt in my mind he could do it, especially when you see the tape, how athletic he is. I see no problem with that, but more than anything, to kind of play that prowler role, or that role Arden Key played last year against Mahomes. This guy can absolutely play that role like a badass. And I think a lot of people don't know or wouldn't maybe know how to use him. Like PFF has him at 224 in the draft. PFN 224. PFF 109. Draft Network 236. I mean, I think he's going to be around 4 or 5 pick. I mean, if we got him in the 5th round, it would be awesome if we didn't already address the position. But he can simply get after the quarterback from anywhere on the field. He can line up anywhere and get after the quarterback. And he's good in the run game. And at that prowler position, which we need, it obviously worked against the Chiefs. This would be a great spot for Gus Bradley to get a guy that he could really do some creative things with, kind of play a joker position and have some fun with him, but have that athletic ability to be able to just disrupt the football game. I think this would be a great pick for the Raiders, and somebody to absolutely really consider, maybe keep on your radar if he's not already. I think he's a fantastic player and would be great for us. So we move over to the linebacker side. And I've talked about Baron Browning before. I'll get to him in a minute, but there's a lot of linebackers that could play the role. And so, again, what I'm looking for in the linebacker role for the Raiders is somebody to not only play that Sam position, to be able to rush the edge, to be able to play a traditional 4-3 defensive end position, bend the edge, go against the tackle, but also have the ability to drop in coverage, but also have the ability to play all the linebacker positions, because we want a future linebacker that we can build off of. And there are some guys in this draft that can do what we need for the moment now and to grow into that middle linebacker, the will linebacker positions if we need them to in the future. And Baron Browning's one of those guys. Some other guys in the draft, like Mcpherson, obviously would be the 17 pick for us, but I just don't think he's going to be there, so I'm not going to talk about him. Jamin Davis, athletically, he has the profile. I just have concerns with him. He was at Kentucky for a few years, and just now learning about it. How can a guy be at Kentucky for that long? And he might have transferred in, but how is he just popping up on the radar, being that athletic? I just have some questions about that, and I think he's going to get drafted late first anyway, so I don't think it would fit into where we're drafting. Similar to Zaven Collins, he could obviously play the position, but I think he's going to be drafted around that high second round or real late first round. Just doesn't fit where we're drafting at. And I do have some concern with Zaven's game. He does this weird jump stop thing. It looks like he stopped at the free throw line delivering a pass. It's kind of odd. And then Jock from Notre Dame, I don't think he's a linebacker. I know that's controversial. I think he's a strong safety, and he would be a great strong safety, but Abram's going to play that spot for us, so it would be kind of a waste for us to pick Jock. I don't like his game inside the hash marks. I don't think it's that good. I think the tape backs that up, so I don't really consider him a linebacker. And there's other guys, Chaz Surratt. I don't like his game at all. He's all over the field. He's an ex-quarterback. It doesn't seem like he understands how to play the game yet. Cameron Mcgraw out of Michigan, another guy that has some game, but don't think he's ready for prime time. He's more of a middle linebacker anyways. And then Jabril Cox, he's really good at coverage, and he can rush. I just don't see him being able to play middle linebacker one day. I just don't think he's a good enough tackler, so I kind of left him off the list. But anyways, let's talk about the guys that I do like for the Raiders, and I hope they do draft one of these guys because I think he'd be a terrific player. He'd handle our needs immediately. But Baron Brownie's terrific athlete, 6'3", 241, 33-inch arms, 81 vert. Or 81 vert, that'd be awesome. 81 wingspan, 4.58 40, a 6.78 3-cone, 40-inch vert, 10-10 broad jump, and 20 on the bench press. This guy can play everywhere. He can bend the edge. He has plenty of tape at Ohio State. They didn't have him do it nearly enough, in my opinion. But coming off the edge, he can bend it at 8 yards, which means sacks. They're even already thinking about it, the Senior Bowl, converting him to just an outside edge rusher. But he could do way more on the football field than that. He can play all three linebacker positions. He's good in the run game, great in the passing game. He'd even go out to the boundary and cover receivers at Ohio State. So very gifted athlete. His RAS score was 5 out of 2,118 linebackers from 1987 to 2021. That's how athletically gifted he is. PFN has him at 43. PFF has him at 103, which I don't understand at all. And Draft Network 43, and I predict him to be around that 43, hopefully around our second-round pick. It would be a great pick for us. So anyways, that's Baron Browning, second-rounder that I believe, somebody that we could definitely target. Another guy I really like is Derek Barnes. I don't think he gets near enough publicity. 6 foot, I think that's what it says. He seems a little taller than that, but he's 238, 33 3/8 arms, so he's long, 9 6/8 hands, 81 wingspan, a 4.57 40, 37 vert, 9'11 broad jump, and 29 on the bench press, so he's super strong. This guy is fantastic. He can cover. He can play all three linebacker positions. He can tackle, and he's really good at blitzing. He's really good at rushing the quarterback. Had a lot of sacks at Purdue. He's one of those guys. He reminds me of Bolton, where if you just watch the game, just in real time, just watch the game. He's the guy that stands out on the defensive side. Like, you know where he is on defense. You don't have to go searching for him. You don't need an all-22 to know what he's doing. He stands out, kind of like Bolton does. But anyways, just a real dynamic player. PFN has him at 188, PFF 131, and Draft Network 125. If we were able to get him in the 4th round, it'd be an absolute steal. He'd be our middle linebacker of the future, but could play that same position that we're looking for fantastically. And he knows how to get to the quarterback. He's really good at it. He could be an edge rusher if they wanted him to be. He's that good. Super strong, like I said, 29 reps. I mean, just a terrific football player. I would love to get him on the team. The next guy is controversial for me, Dylan Moses. I thought long and hard before I put him on here. I mean, he's got some great tape, but he also had a big injury. Didn't do any of the pro day stuff. 6'1", 3/8", 235. Extremely athletic when you watch his tape, but just that injury was just really concerning, and it seemed to really slow him down. So I'm not sure that the recovery he's going to be able to make. PFM has him really high, still at 85. PFF has him 198 and Draft Network 135. And I put him on the list simply to say that if we got late, like 6th round, something like that, and he was still there, that's worth it for me, for the Raiders to take a shot. But other than that, I wouldn't necessarily jump on it. I mean, he has the characteristics and the traits to play all the linebacker positions, to do the coverage, to do the blitzing. I mean, if you knew he was fully healthy, you would draft him at that 85 position, obviously in the 3rd round, would be a spectacular player in the 3rd round, but man, it just looks like that injury's really hampered him, and not having anything on a pro day, I just don't see how you could draft him above the 6. You'd really just draft a potential, and I don't think the Raiders are really in a position to do that. Anyways, the next guy that I really like out of TCU is Garrett Wallow, 6'2", 230. He was a safety and still plays some safety, but these numbers are insane. He ran a 4.65, was really good, but a 6.87 3-cone and a 4.12 short shuttle. I mean, that is fantastic. 32.5 vert and 10.2 broad jump and 22 on the bench. I mean, these numbers are off the charts. The 2020 NFL Combine, the short shuttle and the 3-cone, those would be like best in class for the position. So he's very athletic. He's played safety, like I mentioned, so he can cover. He can play all linebacker spots. He had a 1.64-10 split, which means his first step's really fast, kind of like I mentioned with Aziz, a 1.6. So he's extremely quick. He had 287 tackles at TCU, 173 solo, 32.5 tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks in 35 games. So, I mean, this dude is tremendous. PFN has a 150, PFF 183, draft network 225. I'm thinking 5th round for him. If he was there in the 5th round, what a player this would be for the Raiders. Could definitely play that Sam position now, but also be a future linebacker that we might need for the future. So I think this would be a great player for us, and hopefully keep him on your radar. If the Raiders decide to go a different direction, then I'm sort of mapping out, which I guarantee you they will. So then keep him on the radar for late in the draft, because he's definitely a possibility. And the final guy I have on the list is Nick Niemann out of Iowa. Terrific football player. Played middle linebacker for him. 6'3", 234. But these numbers are fantastic. I mean, a 4.45 40, a 4.1 for short shuttle, and a 6.67 3-cone. I mean, those numbers athletically are fantastic, especially at middle linebacker. 33.5 vert, 10.1 broad jump, 19 on the bench. Maybe needs to get a little stronger, but I mean, just fantastic numbers. Somebody that could definitely project. It would be a projection, but I would project him to be able to play our Sam position. But in any case, PFN has him at 266, PFF 261. I mean, if he's a UDFA, I think he should be a priority free agent, because it'd be great to get a backup middle linebacker, especially somebody that can go side to side like this guy does with this speed and athleticism. Try him at the Sam spot and see how he does. The projection, the short shuttle, the 3-cone show he could do it. But if anything else, we'd have a middle linebacker in the future potentially. It would be just fantastic for us. So, anyways, that's kind of where I think the Raiders should be looking, how they should be looking. We really only have the one spot. You know, if you look at the way the breakdown is, you're looking at probably 11 DBs. You're probably looking at 9 defensive linemen, and at the most 5 linebackers. So, and if you figure we got Mora, who just resigned, and Littleton, who we restructured, Kwiatkowski, we just restructured. That's 4, and then Muse seems to be getting some run, and I think Muse is going to make the team. So that's the 4th linebacker. Really only gives us the one spot, so they got to decide, is it going to be that stand-up outside linebacker to rush the edge, or is it going to be a true Sam linebacker to be able to play multiple linebackers? Because that's the reason I broke it down that way, because I think that's the one position we need. I hope we drafted high in the draft, but if we don't, there's some other talent later in the draft that I think will work. And we might draft it later, because they might be putting Crosby in that spot to get a lot of the pass rush reps, and then have Morrow backing him up is probably the plan right now. But I would rather get a 3-down player there, and especially somebody that we can build on for the future. And again, the outside linebackers that I picked are all guys that have the potential to become the Leo at one point, to either back up Yannick or to take over Yannick in a couple years. And the linebacker guys I brought up are all have the potential to be our future middle linebackers, will linebackers, or just overall playmakers. So just some ideas for you to keep on the radar. That concludes all the defensive positions. We've went over all the potential on defense that we could do, for the Raiders, and how to draft, and given a lot of different players possibilities to draft and to target, and I think some good reasons why athletically, and how they kind of fit into the scheme that we're going to be running and things like that. So, definitely look for the Raiders to. I think they're going to draft a cornerback, and I hope it's a versatile one. I really like Trill Williams or Marco. I do like Avery Williams just for a true slot guy late, just because he has the upside of the return ability, and I think he's more of a UDFA guy anyways. So just some potentials there. But if you're curious about my cornerback rankings and how I think the Raiders should approach the cornerback, Paulson Adebo is also another one that I think we should also consider. But I think it's going to be tough for Nevin Lawson and Keeson to make the team. I think the other guys are pretty well cemented. And Meek might be a challenge to make it, but I think they're going to give him a shot. The offensive lines really come together. I do think we have room. Obviously, we need a one technique because we only have Hankins. I'd like to see us get somebody that's multifaceted. I've talked about Barmore in the first round. I still think trading back in that 20 to 21 to 25 range and getting Aziz or Barmore, one of the two, would make the most sense for the team. Hopefully that's what the Raiders do. But if not, I would not be mad if they took Barmore at 17. I will say this, and it's interesting because Marvin Wilson, I think, is probably the best prospect for us because he's more of a one technique. He could certainly play it. I just worry about his motivation. I didn't like what I see sometimes on film and at the Senior Bowl for 2020. But 2018 and 2019, dominant. I mean, 2018 and 2019 is a top 15 pick. So that's kind of a boom or bust for the Raiders. If they wanted to wait till a little bit later, like, I don't know, some people are saying 5th round. I think somebody might take a shot in the 3rd round, but definitely in the 4th, I think. If we got him in the 4th, it'd be fantastic. Would really fill out our DT position. He has the higher ceiling than Barmore, so if the Raiders wanted to get that aggressive, they certainly could. I wouldn't be mad at that. But those are really the two players. Tommy Tojiji, I don't know how to say his last name, can play the 3 and the 1, but I don't like him at the 2 gap to be able to handle the two gap like that. In fact, I don't really like Barmore doing it either. I just like the pass rush ability from that inside. And I don't know that Tommy gives us as much pass rush ability. So there's that. Ali McNeil is for sure the best nose tackle, best one technique. And if we were to trade down in the 1st and get that extra 2nd round pick, I would definitely want to get him. I like TJ Slanton as well out of Florida for the position. But there's a lot of good one techniques. So that's kind of where I'm at with all that. And and if you want to curious about the safety position, I did a video on that. I definitely think we're going to draft a minimum of 2 safeties, or at least I hope we do. I put out in that video who I think those safeties should be, so check that out. The reason I say that 2 and maybe even 3 because it's going to be tough to make the roster for Heath because where we're out in the salary cap. Obviously, Rasul's number haven't come out yet, but man, once he's in, we're probably only going to have somewhere around, I don't know, $3 to $4 million of cap space. And we still need about 8.5 to do our draft class. So, I mean, we're kind of up against it. And there's only so many guys left that we were able to cut and actually save money. Rashard and Heath are the top 2. That's $7 million right there. So it's going to be tough for us to keep Heath or at least keep him without restructuring. So that's going to be difficult. So anyways, I hope you liked the video. Subscribe. Please forward it on. Pass it around. Comment. Definitely like the comments that we're getting. Some good comments coming in. Again, we got about a week before the draft. I'll probably put out another 2 videos similar to this on the offensive side of the ball, talking about running backs, tight ends, receivers, and return guys. I'll probably do 2 and 2, so put 2 on one video, 2 on the other, something like that. And that'll kind of complete the roster, and then we'll do a final video sort of on who I think would be the best fits for the Raiders, and we'll get some comments going around that as well. But anyways, Raider Nation, thanks for tuning in tonight. This is Raider Sparks. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, please like and share the video and make comments. And until next time, you guys have a good evening.